It was the third day of searching. The forest was vast, unforgiving, and damp with the weight of late autumn rain. Branches clawed at clothes. The underbrush whispered with every breeze, and hope, like the sun, seemed to fade a little more each hour. 5-year-old Lucy Reynolds had vanished from her family's cabin 2 nights ago. Her parents, Emily and Grant, had put her to bed as usual. In the morning, she was gone. No signs of forced entry, no evidence of a struggle, just an open back door and a trail of tiny footprints leading into the woods. Until they disappeared in a patch of wet leaves. Hundreds had joined the search. Local law enforcement, firefighters, forest rangers, volunteers. But after nearly 72 hours with no food, water, or warm clothing, Lucy's chances were growing slimmer. The air was sharp with cold. Coyotes had been heard howling in the night. People whispered worst-case scenarios when the parents weren't in earshot. At the center of the chaos sat an old golden retriever named Marley. Gray around the muzzle, but steady on his paws, he belonged to one of the search team volunteers, an older man named Joe Keller. Joe had trained rescue dogs in his younger years and brought Marley along as comfort more than anything. Marley had never been formally trained, but he had a nose and a gentleness that often helped calm the families. Joe never expected Marley to be more than moral support. But something shifted on the morning of day 3. Marley began acting strange. As the team reassembled for the day's sweep, Marley pulled against his leash, nose to the ground. He whined low and urgent, tugging in the opposite direction from where the search grids had been mapped. Joe frowned. "That's not our route, boy," he said, trying to guide the dog back. But Marley wouldn't have it. He growled, not aggressively but insistently, and looked up at Joe with eyes that pleaded. Joe paused. "You smell something?" Marley barked, once, then again, loud and sharp. The sound cut across the chatter of the group, and several searchers turned their heads. Joe made a decision. "I'm going to follow him." The lead coordinator raised a brow. "That's not part of today's section." Joe shrugged. "Then mark me rogue. I trust this dog more than a map right now." He unclipped Marley's leash. The dog took off, not at a sprint, but with a purposeful gait, nose low, tail rigid, body alert. And so Joe followed. Marley led Joe away from the structured grid into a denser part of the forest where searchers hadn't yet reached. Fallen branches littered the ground, and the incline was steeper here. Joe, despite being in good shape for his age, struggled to keep pace. They trekked for almost 20 minutes. Every now and then, Marley would stop, sniff, look back to make sure Joe was still behind him, then press on. At one point, Joe called out, "Marley, you sure about this?" The dog didn't even look back this time. He just kept moving. Then Marley froze. He stood stock still at the base of a small ravine, ears high, nose twitching. Joe caught up, panting, and saw what had drawn the dog's attention. A scrap of pale pink fabric caught on a branch. Joe reached for it with a trembling hand. It was damp, dirty, and unmistakably part of a child's pajama sleeve. He radioed it in. The search team shifted their focus to Joe's location immediately. Within minutes, a new wave of boots was on the ground, converging. They fanned out from where Joe stood with the fabric in hand. Marley hadn't moved, his eyes now locked onto something deeper in the ravine. Then, from the underbrush came a sound, faint, hoarse, a cry. "Did you hear that?" Joe whispered. Another cry, then a cough. They scrambled forward, carefully navigating the rocks and slippery ground, and there, nestled between 2 fallen trees, shivering but alive, was Lucy. Marley bounded ahead but stopped a foot away, sitting gently, wagging his tail. Lucy looked at him through tear-streaked eyes and reached out with weak fingers. Joe dropped to his knees beside her. "We've got you now, sweetheart." Paramedics arrived within minutes. Lucy was dehydrated and cold, but miraculously unharmed. She clutched Marley's fur the whole way back to the rescue truck. Her parents wept when they saw her. Emily collapsed to her knees, arms outstretched. Grant stood frozen before breaking into loud sobs. They embraced their little girl and then turned to Marley and Joe, words failing them. Marley stood wagging his tail, panting softly, as if he'd simply done what needed to be done. The story made headlines. Hero dog finds missing child, read one paper. Golden retriever with golden instincts, read another. But Joe knew better. Marley wasn't trained for search and rescue. He'd never tracked a person before. He wasn't even particularly obedient when it came to following commands. So, how did he know? Joe didn't have an answer. Lucy didn't either. When asked what she remembered, she spoke softly. "I was scared. I wanted to go home. Then I heard a jingle, and a dog came." "What did he do?" a reporter asked. "He just looked at me, like he already knew me." "Did you call out to him?" She shook her head. "No, he found me." When the story went viral, people debated what really happened. Some called it animal intuition, others said it was coincidence. A few, those quieter voices in the comment sections and forums, called it something else. One commenter wrote, "Sometimes angels wear fur." Whatever it was, Lucy was alive. Her parents couldn't thank Joe and Marley enough. The local sheriff's department awarded them a medal for bravery. Marley got a collar made of blue velvet with a gold tag that simply read, "Lifesaver." Joe, though, kept thinking about the moment Marley pulled at the leash, that deep, persistent pull in a direction no one else would have taken. No scent trails, no signs, just something. Something that said, "This way." In the quiet afterward, Joe would sometimes sit beside Marley and wonder aloud, "Who told you, boy? Who nudged your nose and lit the path?" Marley never answered. He just rested his head on Joe's knee and closed his eyes. And maybe that was answer enough. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments. Your thoughts help us keep sharing these incredible journeys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a story from Lanes and Lantern Stories.